Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to MindShifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie. Michael and Jeanie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rachma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeanie Ryce.
To the brightness within you and the truth that is rooted within me.
Welcome to the show. Our apology for running a little late. We're actually renovating and doing a lot of work on the worksheet as well as getting ready to travel tomorrow. So we got distracted. Our error, and we apologize for that. But we're delighted that you're here on the show. And Jeannie's not introducing it because she's having some phone difficulties in getting on. But here we are, and it's the first day of December, and we're just 1 month away from the end of the year. A whole group of folks are doing 5 worksheets a day each, and the concentrated focus on the 5 worksheets a day for me, it's been a while since I've done that, with the new information that's come into the work, has really opened a space for some new powerful material on the worksheet. So the worksheet is being totally, completely renovated, and probably within an hour after the show, it will be posted on the website. And so if we post it, and maybe some folks want to grab it tomorrow and see if they're, or today, about an hour after the show, probably by 3 o'clock Eastern time. I'm just on the 3rd time of doing the new worksheet and just refining all the little pieces of it. So I'm excited and delighted about it. I think you're going to be excited too. It's going to open some new spaces. And tomorrow, perhaps everyone will download it and do it a sheet or 2 or 5 or 10. And then let's get some feedback and see if this is going to be the final worksheet for a while. And we're also celebrating, or pardon me, I shouldn't say celebrate. We're honoring Memorial and Veterans Day. All of those who have been murdered or forced to murder, who've been injured, maimed, emotionally traumatized, who brought those traumas home and have traumatized their family, all those with post-traumatic stress disorder, which includes just about everybody in the culture as it goes, because most families are at war, and the war that goes on in the world, the slaughtering of millions, is simply a reflection of the internal war that happens. So we're going to invite you to end the internal war, which will end the external war. And how are we going to do that? We're going to invite you to forgive. Pick up that worksheet after 3 o'clock, and I'm going to, when the show's over, I'm going to do a couple more and make sure we've got every little fine point of it complete. Get Jeanie to proofread it. She's awesome at doing that. And we'll be posting that. So do the forgiveness work. And if you're not familiar with the forgiveness conversation, forgiveness has nothing to do with I'm letting you off the hook for what's happening inside of me. And so this worksheet really drills down into deeper and deeper parts of me. And as I remove those parts, which is what forgiveness is about, forgiveness is a delete key for hostility and fear-based content in this non-human mind, so that we can show up as a human mind and as a human being. And if you don't know how to figure out what a human being is, if you're looking for a definition, we've got an easy definition: hold a newborn child. If you've never held a newborn, which we've run into a number of people who haven't, who go, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Let me share with you my newborn story. Take this one and just imagine yourself being in the space of this newborn. A daughter is being born. It's 3:40 in the afternoon. About 2 o'clock, we realized that my wife was in labor. About 3:30, we realized the birth is going to be soon. And at 4:40, Christa's head delivers. Now, of course, kids aren't supposed to be able to focus. Babies don't focus for the first several days. Well, excuse me, folks, totally incorrect. Christa opens her eyes and looks straight in my eyes, so focused, so totally focused. She offers this huge grin. And that grin puts me into literally another dimension. That direct, awesome experience of love, of her presence, opened a space in me that's beyond all comprehension. So hold a newborn child, you know what love is. It was kind of fun because it was a Friday afternoon, and I remember that because I had a Friday weekend, a workshop that started for the weekend, and there was a fellow that was coming from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and so we couldn't reach him. There were no cell phones back in those days. My daughter's now 30. So we couldn't reach him, so we couldn't cancel our workshop in my workshop space. I had a classroom in my home. So at about 6:45, the workshop started at 7, about 6:45, I walked to the door with his baby in my arms and greet people for the workshop. And people are like, oh, a baby, isn't that cute? Yes, she was born 2.5 hours ago. And they're like, what? No, I don't believe that. Well, it was true. It was absolutely awesome. And it was interesting. Usually my intellect works pretty well, and it wasn't for several years that I realized or I found out in the East, one of the ideas of many Eastern teachings is get to a space of what they call no mind. I went down to my classroom that night to teach, and I had no mind. I couldn't think a thought. The best way I've been able to describe it is that my brain and my mouth were buttered. It was direct transmission. I couldn't think a thought. I'm out of carbon-based memory. Forgiveness kicks us out of carbon-based memory. It collapses carbon-based memory so we can have a direct experience of who we are. Thank you, Christa, for that experience. So if you're not sure what a human life is, that's it, and that's what we're designed to live as. And the forgiveness process is about removing all hostility and fear from planet Earth. Jeanie did an awesome worksheet with her son Ryan today. And Ryan, who was literally called yesterday morning, we talked a little bit about it on the show yesterday, Ryan called in tears. We could hardly understand a word he was saying as he was in his upset, in his tears. And this morning, and they're committed, she actually did 2 worksheets with him today on the phone, but they made an agreement to do at least 1 worksheet a day. And Ryan's comment was, well, all the same problems that I was having yesterday are there, but there's no upset left. That's what forgiveness does. So how do you eliminate war? You let go of all internal hostility and fear, and you're at peace, and you have a clear, sane, brilliant, genius mind called love with which to move forward and deal with the situations in your life. So that's what we're here to do, and we're delighted to be sharing with you and delighted that you're here. Jeanie, is Dr. Tim, is David with us?
Yes, and I just want to add to that. By the way, today's day 186 of the memorial celebration. But when I was talking to Ryan, one of the things that I used as an example for him was in the scriptures there's a story about Peter, and he wants to walk to Jesus, who's walking on water. And there's a storm raging. And as long as Peter's focused on where he's going, he walks on water. But when he changes his focus to the storm around him, he starts to sink. And so I told Ryan, I said, the same stuff is going on, and it's, all swirling around you. I said, but if you keep your eyes on where you're going, then you can walk water. I said, but if you start looking at your circumstances, you sink. I said, so it's up to you whether you walk or sink. But he just did a phenomenal job, and I challenged him then to share the worksheet that we were doing with his wife when she gets home from work. And I said, and perhaps, she'll see something different. And by him doing that, then maybe she will also start doing the worksheets with us. but he's committed to calling me every morning and doing the worksheets, and so that's a phenomenal thing. And both Tim and David are on. And anybody that's listening, if you see that the chat room doesn't seem to be working for you because I was late getting on, you might need to do a refresh. And our call-in number is 646-200-4169, and press 1 if you want to talk to Michael. We'd love to hear from your comments and questions and your support, and thank you. And Tim and David both are on.
Welcome, Tim and David. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing beautifully, thank you.
Awesome. David, how do you do, sir?
I'm doing very well indeed, and nice to hear that the progress that's going on with Ryan and Jeanie, and holding the place for Gabby to be part of that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Tim, did you say something else?
Yeah, somebody texted me that Ruka had created the perfect worksheet.
Yes, that's right. And after I texted you guys that, I sat down and did another one and found another couple little pieces, and then I printed it and I did another one and found another couple little pieces. So everybody's going to get the benefit of that whole process. And as I say, probably by 3 o'clock it'll be on the website, and I will email it directly to you.
I would like to tell everyone that you were up until 4 o'clock this morning working on this perfect worksheet.
Yeah, what I did is I just sat, and thank you, David, for your inspiration, because it's been a while since I've done anything other than an occasional worksheet here and there. Something comes up and I do it, but just the consistency and the focus of doing it 5 a day, every day. And some days I've done, of course, more than 5, because once you open one, it leads to another. But I started at about 10 o'clock last night, and I was doing my 5 worksheets and went, oh, this needs to go in the worksheet process. And then I printed that one, and I did another one. And it's like, oh, this needs to go in it. And then I printed another one. Oh, this changed. And so that's how my night went till about 4 this morning when I finally finished and got up and with a fresh mind did another worksheet from the final one, and I'm on my 3rd renovation since I got up this morning and started on it. So you're going to see some major, with the new things that have been learned over the last several months, the last several years, really. This focus is bringing all of those points and principles into it in a way that I think is going to make it clearly and truly the most powerful worksheet that we've done yet. So it's awesome. And Tim, I know that you took the worksheet to the support group the other night, and I would love to hear the results of that happening with the support group.
Yeah, it went quite nicely. It opened the space for some new discussions. We have 1 or 2 people who don't really like the worksheet process. They love the videos and they like the discussion, and they do some other types of internal work. But one person in particular was at the group and was talking about how she just has this aversion to writing the things down. You might remember that a couple of months ago we had somebody come out and actually do a worksheet in the group about how the worksheets don't work for him, and it always provides good material. And so this was the introduction of the new 7th step that you had mailed me on Monday, was food for conversation in the group, and it really helped by clarifying what we keep talking in the group about, how a goal doesn't have any value in and of itself. It's not good or bad. But if it generates a negative emotion in me, no matter how loving or positive the goal sounds, I need to cancel it. Because, in effect, I'm using it inappropriately. I'm using it to hide from myself the part of me that's causing pain and sadness and fear, or whatever the negative emotion is. And so this really opened up the discussion, because now in the version you sent me from Monday, it specifically talks more about how the maintenance of that goal is the thing that's either hiding from me or generating the negative emotions that I'm trying to fit out with the worksheet.
Let me just offer one small refinement on that, Tim, and that is that the goal doesn't generate the negative emotion. The negative emotion, the content is already there in my genetics or in my tissue structure. The goal, once I commit to it, activates or resonates or recruits that emotional content to build my reality. So it's actually not the goal that generates it. The fact is it's just there. And my loading the goal in my mind recruits that hidden data. When I load a goal that relates to something I've dissociated from in myself, I draw somebody in, and then out of my goal for them to behave a certain way or to do a certain thing, or oftentimes my infantile demand of them, is what recruits that hidden part of my mind. And sometimes that hidden content may be 10 generations old, If, great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa was in a situation where somebody, pick a situation, just used a certain kind of weapon in order to harm someone else, and great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa watched that, then that frequency, that pain, that trauma held in my tissue structure, in my genetics from 10 generations ago, is continuously, literally radiating an energy field. And the minute I get into the field of somebody who has the tendency to use that particular type of weapon, maybe the weapon was using the tongue in a certain way to degrade somebody, a certain kind of degrading. And so I'll be continuously calling forward somebody, and, there's, my neighbor down the block who just had a stressful experience, and he comes out his front door, and my psychic megaphone, that literal genetic frequency radiating an energy wave, calls them over to me, and there they are doing exactly that thing. And my goal for them to speak lovingly, gently, and respectfully to me causes my mind to recruit that old, unresolved trauma that my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather had. And in recruiting it, it comes up. If I don't want to deal with it, like my grandfather didn't deal with it, I deny ownership. I say, you make me so, And it's my goal that recruited that from my genetics in order to give me the opportunity to forgive or remove that from my genetics. So just a little refinement, but I think it's an important one, that the goal recruits content, and it can be the most awesome goal in the world, but the reason I cancel is because if it recruits disintegrative or dissociated content, then I have to get rid of it.
Michael?
Yes?
We have someone new in the chat room, and they want to know what a worksheet is. So there may be more than one out there. You might want to kind of give an introduction to that.
Okay, well, the worksheet is a format decoded from the ancient Aramaic language for how to change that negative or destructive content, the hostility or fear-based content that might be, as I say, 1,000 generations old. And so to get that worksheet, if you go to the website, www.whyagain.com, on the right-hand side there's a link that says Download Worksheets. It's about the sixth link down. Key into that worksheet. The first 5 links under that particular link will give you the whole story of the forgiveness process. It'll give you a new chapter 24 from my book. It'll give you the actual worksheet. And if you wait till about 3 o'clock, the newest, latest worksheet will be there. Of course, the full instructions for it aren't there yet. It's an older set of instructions. That's something else that I'm working on, but we've only got about 8,000 projects on our plate, so that'll be a little while before it gets there. But the intuitive leap will be relatively easy. And or if you want more specific instructions, you can go to the catalog page on the website, and there you can order the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again, or you can download the book free. You can order the book on CD. You can order a DVD, a 2-hour or a 4-hour DVD of the Why workshop that gives you instructions, or you can order a 4-hour CD. Again, those instructions are not going to be specific word for word to this new worksheet. There's much new material, but the intuitive leap will be fairly easy. So Tim, share more with us, if you would, about what happened in the workshop. That's so cool. Or in the support group.
Well, it really opened the space for this person to understand how she's got some blockages about using the worksheet process, but also to understand the need to very simply cancel the goal that she's holding for herself or someone else, and then ask for help from something other than her conscious mind, that 9-bit mind, to see the hidden parts of her mind. And in the process of discussing that with her and literally stepping her through doing a worksheet without writing anything down because she was just so stuck she didn't want to write it down, she had the breakthrough of realizing, oh, so this process opens a part of my mind that I don't normally have access to. And so we'll see in the next week or two if she's able to break through that and actually start doing some worksheets about what has her stuck and why she doesn't want to do the worksheet process. But she actually talked through an issue and got some insights because we had the support of the group there. So even without her writing anything down, because we were able to step her through every step of it, she got the insight anyway.
Awesome. It's interesting. You bring up the thought. There's a woman that started doing this work about 15 years ago. She's been to Heartland probably 8 times over the years, but would never do worksheets. Would just never do worksheets. She hated the worksheets. And I was always encouraging her, Gloria, pick it up, put the pen to the paper. Now those worksheets don't work for me. They're baloney. Just forget it. I'm not doing them. Well, last year we were in Fort Lauderdale, and she was there, and she came to the Why workshop, probably her 25th Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop. She got it. She started to do the worksheets. And about 3 months later, she wrote me, and she said, these worksheets are absolutely my best friend. I love doing them. I can tell the worksheet anything. That was her key thing. I can tell the worksheet anything that I've never wanted to tell anybody in my life. It is my best friend. And she spent 15 or 16 years resisting and not wanting to do worksheets. And, of course, in the Aramaic language, the word Satan is not an uppercase word, that dude with the red suit, the tail, and the pitchfork. It's a proper name of a person or a personage of some kind. The word Satan literally means, in Aramaic, the resistor, one who misleads. And so the person who is not going to look at, deal with, or be responsible for what's happening in their own minds gets stuck in Satan, literally. Stuck in the resistor. And when we're stuck in the resistor, our mind tells us all kinds of stories that it's all about somebody else. In fact, let me just share one of the new statements on the new worksheet. And this is off in the right-hand column. And what it says is, I release my need to make up another story, that is, hallucinate proof, that my fear and hostility-based reality, my mind's lie, is true. So that's one of the new statements in the worksheet. Well, let me throw out a couple of others that are new to it. So number 5 now reads, my reality, the limited output, bracket, I see a max of 9 bits out of 10,000 brain cells firing, from my carbon-based memories, quote-unquote, mind, is a result of or driven by my goal, number 3, and is constructed out of corrupt data. I choose to collapse my mind's lies by canceling, in Aramaic shebag, the goal or the driver for number 1A, and then the instruction is to copy it from number 3, And then it goes to number 5. This is still number 5. Goes on to say, canceling my goal collapses my replicate mind's output and gives me direct contact with the denied and dissociated part of my carbon-based memory, which hallucinates, projects, blames others for its content. Breathe. So that's now number 5A. Number 5B reads, I invite, and the suggestion is Ruka Dekucha, that elemental force that was spoken about 2,000 years ago, that by definition, Ruka Dekucha, for those who aren't familiar with that term, is an Aramaic term. The words by the Greeks were translated as the Holy Spirit, but in Aramaic there was no such implication of some kind of disembodied spirit being. It spoke of a literal feminine elemental force that, when invited into activity, undoes the effects of our errors and teaches us the truth. So 5B now reads, I invite Ruka Dekucha to incline me toward healing, to restore me to my newborn state, love, to heal my capacity to generate, and here you bring now your emotion, your feeling from number 1C down to number 5B, to heal my capacity to generate that emotion and help me to create direct conscious relationship with and remove the dissociated projected parts of my carbon-based memory. So there are a couple of the changes that have been made. So it's exciting, it's fun. And I think we're going to see whole new levels and possibilities with the worksheet. Anybody that wants to get me to, or get Jeanie to email to you directly a copy of the worksheet, if you're in the chat room, you could put your email address in, and or if you want to email Jeanie, Jeanie, at whyagain.com, then when we get this finished in the next hour or so, we will send that worksheet to you. So, gentlemen, any other thoughts before we move on?
Well,
hello.
I'm here. Are you there?
I'm here. Go for it.
Well, I've been doing the 5 a day, and have, as I shared on Monday, have had a few very powerful worksheets. And one of the things that I want to offer is that many of them, especially if I'm doing 5 a day, seem to offer little, if any, shift in my mental, emotional state or in my insight. But I have the confidence that each of them has a value, and that each little shift in awareness is adding to my willingness to do the work and open the space and look at something. And it's because of that, 20 or 30 or 40 worksheets, that it opens a space that I can have a worksheet like the one I shared about the 1.5-year-old choking that brought up a memory of, a tragedy when I was 12 years old. So I just want to encourage people to stay with the process, trust the process, and just keep doing the worksheets, because many valuable things happen that may not be apparent in the moment. And as I've said here before, one of them I think that is perhaps one of the most important for me is that every time I read through a worksheet and I remind myself of a set of questions and a set of observations about how my mind-body energy system actually works, I peel off another layer of the conditioning of my culture and my family that for years, 50 at least, told me other people make me angry, other people hurt my feelings, other people run my emotions. So there are many levels of benefit to making the commitment and doing the worksheet process.
Yeah, definitely, and I know I'm experiencing on a new level. I've been doing this for 40 years now, and the first worksheet that was, came out in the format, kind of along the lines of the one we're doing, was about 26 or 27 years ago. And the cumulative effect of the 5 a day is certainly reminding me of a whole other level of impact that's possible for us to achieve. So, again, David, gracias. We thank you.
I would like to add, too, a couple of things. One, there are people like all over the planet that have joined us in doing 5 a day for 40 days. I had a private session with a gentleman from England yesterday, and what he was saying was that in the last few days, anyway, that it seems like the more worksheets he does, the more irritation comes up for him, and that he was doing worksheets on having to do worksheets. But I told him, there are so many of us right now. It's like such a collective energy of everybody together doing these worksheets that we're creating such an energetic shift. And I said, that annoyance or whatever that's in you is showing up in your everyday life anyway. It's just that now you are consciously putting the energy towards bringing that forward and clearing it up. So it seems like it's more prominent or like there's more of it, but it's not. It's just it's showing up and you're consciously looking at it instead of it unconsciously kicking you in the rear. But it's always there. It's just that we're bringing it forward now. And I think with all the collective energy of so many people doing 5 a day right now, that it's really putting a momentum out there that wasn't there before. I know that my son has known about the worksheets, and he's done them every now and then. But I think that the momentum of us personally, of Michael and I doing the worksheets 5 a day, has added that energy that it opened the gate to make it easier for him to accept to start doing it. And he's not doing 5 a day. He committed to 1 a day. But today is only the second day, and we did 2. So perhaps we'll increase each day by 1. Who knows?
Yeah, it's so powerful and so empowering and so rewarding to watch it happen with so many folks who are jumping on board and moving into it. And again, I'm very excited about being able to post and share this new worksheet. I think everybody's gonna find it really useful on a whole new level. So, David, Terry, any thoughts, questions, answers, ideas before we check out the chat room and see if there are any other callers? And our call-in number, by the way, is 646-200-4169. Are there any callers, Jeanie? So there are no callers at this moment. David and Tim, of course, are on the phone. But if you do call in, you will be next in line to chat with us. David and Tim, thoughts?
Go ahead, David.
Oh, hello, everyone. It's so great to hear that there's other people that are jumping on the bandwagon, as Jeanie was talking about. And my thoughts were around that, was the idea, there's several tools that Michael has developed from this work, and one of them, which I consider as the tool for really releasing all of it, is the breath work. And if there were a way in order to teach the breath work over the radio or over the telephone, we certainly would do it. And my invitation is that with folks is that they maybe talk with someone that has done some breath work, and to practice when this comes up, as this gentleman was saying, it seems like there's so much stuff that comes up, is to focus on the breath, the connected breath. And maybe there's some way, Michael, that you might be able to explain a little bit about how the breath work works and how they might even be able to process through that. And also, it's important to have a partner when doing these worksheets, though that a person, and this is just my projection of it, can do them on their own, and it's great. I've found out through the years that lots of times when I do things on my own, I get to a certain place, and then I hit a wall. And when I hit that wall, then I stop doing it. And even when I'm getting benefit from doing certain things, with having a person that will support me in continuing with it, and to be supportable at the same time, I think is critical. And just having that interpersonal conversation, be it via text and or voice or however the people are connecting with each other, that it's very important to share what it is that's coming up and process through that with another human being. And so maybe you want to reflect a little bit about that, Michael, where there are two or more that are gathered and how that energy would dissipate. Go ahead.
The breath is such a key, and there's a lot of breath work around where people play the game of he or she with the most drama and trauma wins. I remember Jeanie and I did a still point breath workshop at Unity in Sarasota a couple of years ago, and there was a young man there who had been a professional rebirther, which is about breath work, and he'd been a rebirther for 20 years, and he came to me after the workshop and he said, Michael, when I watched how you work with the breath, I realized that I had more rebirth trauma than I had birth trauma. And, of course, the rebirthing process is all about birth trauma. Still point breath is not about birth trauma. Still point breath is about gently, without drama and trauma, because drama and trauma is just a signal I don't want to let go, opening the breath until you get to what I call a superconductor state, a process point. And that's something that you have to be guided into personally. I actually don't give instructions we'll never give written or verbal instructions or video instructions. We do have a DVD called MindShifters, an introduction to still point breathing. But as far as the process goes itself, you have to be personally guided into it. Now, ultimately, once you're aware of it, it's there for you to do for yourself, by yourself. That's the whole idea, ultimately. But in the initial phases, it definitely takes having someone to support you in doing the process. So, and we will be, we're doing it not this Saturday, but a week from Saturday in Pompano. We're going to be doing a whole series. Actually, we'll start Friday night. We're talking to a near-death group in Tamarack, Florida. And then on Saturday night, we're doing an abbreviated 2.5-hour Why Is This Happening to You Again workshop in Boca Raton at a place called the Heart Painter Studio. And then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all day Saturday, we'll be doing a full week of free workshops. And then the one workshop that we do charge a fee for is the MindShifters and Still Point Breathing. But we'll be doing it on Saturday. And we've actually got the Still Point process scheduled for about 6 different times over the next couple of months in Florida. So if anybody wants to look on the website and look at the flyer, look at the different locations we're going to be on, and if that's something you're ready to do, then maybe jump on a plane and drive down and come and play, come and be part of the whole week of workshops and complete with the MindShifters and Still Point Breathing, and or of course next summer at Heartland. We'll be doing a 65-day intensive. That flyer is on the website as well. And the 65-day, there are 6 different modules, and each of those modules will include at least one Still Point, MindShifters and Still Point Breathing process. And in the Why Is This Happening to Me Again intensive, we also teach the hands-on energy field work that goes along with and enhances the MindShifters and Still Point Breathing. So, yeah, the breath is such a key. And just being aware of the fact that you hold your breath, if you hold your breath, and when you hold your breath, can transform absolutely everything in your life. It's very, very empowering to become aware of that and to work through that. So, cool. Dr. Tim, any thoughts on Still Point Breathing or anything else we're talking about?
Well, the other thing that came up in the group was that if you're working with someone, you can have different expectations. And so let's say, for instance, it came up about in relation to the edge that some people have when they're doing 12-step work, and some people are very rigid about how you must do 90 and 90, or you must do the steps just this way or just that way. And one of the good things about the worksheet process is that it understands if I'm feeling upset about something, that's been in me, it was in me, and I carried it into this situation. It's this energy of anger or the energy of sadness, as you were describing earlier, Michael, whether it came from my ancestors or it came from some interaction that I engaged in earlier in my life. And so if I get upset because somebody doesn't do their worksheets the way I want them to do their worksheets, or they don't do as many today as I wanted them to, or they want to criticize how many I'm doing today, then it's just more grist for the mill for me to do worksheets about my upset.
And of course, another small refinement on that, and as we shift language into deeper and deeper levels of responsibility communication, I can't be upset because somebody doesn't do a worksheet the way I want them to do it, or because they don't do as many as I think they should, or because they're criticizing me. That may show me my upset, but that doesn't cause my upset. That may resonate my upset. And I want things to resonate my upset because I can't heal it if I can't look at it, feel it, and deal with it. And so,
if I have the awareness and the tools to deal with my upset, yes, I want it to be resonated so that I can be aware of it and heal it. And that's my point, is that anything that shows me my upset can be turned into a process of revelation and healing if I have the awareness of the process and if I have the tools. So that was something that came up. You know, what if you partner with somebody and they have a different set of expectations, and it blended into the same process that a lot of people go through. Some people have given up different good support groups or techniques like AA because they didn't like the way someone was being too rigid, and so that was another part of the discussion on Tuesday night, was that it's all right as long as I have the awareness that if I'm upset, it's in me and it's my responsibility to dismantle it, and I now have the awareness and the tools for doing that.
Yeah, and Tim, another thing that you resonate for me is the idea of hypocrisy when it comes to any kind of support group, whether it's church, whether it's an AA group, or whether it's a MindShifters support group. The hypocrisy. I guarantee you, if you hang out with David, or if you hang out with Michael, or Jeanie, or Tim long enough and often enough, you're going to see hypocrisy. I don't live everything that I teach. I'm the first one to admit it. Well, gee, Michael, then you're a hypocrite. Well, actually, you could call it that, or you could recognize what it really is. And a lot of people reject, say, for instance, a church because they see the preacher and the congregation being hypocrites. Well, hypocrisy is a necessary step in the work. It's required. We are all hypocrites. If your work is truly, really alive and moving forward, you have to be a hypocrite. Why do I say that? Because if your work is truly alive, if you're truly awake and aware and alive in the moment, then you are moving through layers and layers of those old hostilities and fears. Each new place that you get to becomes a platform from which to see a new level. So when I do a piece of work and I climb up on a new platform, I get to see farther afield, and I go, oh, now I understand that principle. But just because I understand it doesn't mean that I've shifted my own carbon-based memory into living out of it. My work now is to integrate that next level of understanding. And in the interim, I'm going to be a hypocrite. And when I get to the next level of understanding, I'll have a new and higher platform to stand on. I'll see something further, a deeper truth, and I'll go, oh, and here's what we need to do. Can I do that yet? No, I haven't cleaned up the part of my mind that didn't know that and hasn't worked through that. So that hypocrisy is part of the process. Be careful rejecting someone because they're a hypocrite. Now, that doesn't mean if you got somebody that's doing blatant hypocrisy over and over and isn't moving and isn't doing their work, you should just hang out there and go, oh, well, that's cool. Because, of course, there's the hypocrite that is alive in their process, moving forward and doing their work. And then, of course, there's a hypocrite who doesn't, unfortunately, have a clue that there are tools with which to work through what they need to work through. But that's definitely a part of the process. And 100% of the time, if I'm in pain, I have some kind of error in my thinking. My forgiveness work is about cleaning up and correcting that error. That's my work. It's not somebody else's work. And so that's where we want to keep moving forward into the next level, the next layer, and undoing my own hypocrisy, my own fear, my own grief, my own pain. And the work of healing, the work of forgiveness is about doing that. That's why, and this applies, many people want to put Yeshua on a pedestal and make him something different. But, and many people don't want to listen to or hear what he had to say. He says, the things I do, you can do, and greater. That means that he's still moving forward in his process, hasn't reached the pinnacle, and is still seeing and doing new things. I heard the other day, and someone was talking about how there's a new experiment that's being done in one of the test facilities where they may be starting to see that Einstein's theory of relativity is not correct. And we know absolutely that Einstein's theory and anybody's theory is not correct. In fact, if you listen to Einstein, he told people that his theory was not correct. Here's what he said. He said, when compared to actuality, all of our science is primitive and childlike, and that each theory or belief that we have becomes a platform from which to test whether or not the theory is true. Then we'll get to the next level. The mind of man has not yet conceived of what the ultimate truth is, what's really going on in this multi-tiered, multi-dimensional universe that we live in. And so to recognize that each situation is an opportunity to work through the next layer becomes an awesome thing to understand. Jeanie, do we have a caller?
We don't have a caller, but there are a couple things. There's a lady sent me an email, and David, I forwarded it to yesterday. Her name's Beth, and she has committed to doing the worksheets. We just had someone in the chat room that started out with the show saying, what is a worksheet? And she has now committed to doing the worksheets. And so, David, she's sending you an email, so perhaps you can connect those two ladies to support each other since they're the two newest ones in our group. And I also said, if you have any questions as you're doing it, because this is going to be new to you, please call in, ask your questions, because if you have a question, someone else has the same question. And then also, just as evidence of the people that this show is reaching, there's a lady in Argentina that heard Art on the show the other day, and she sent it to David. David forwarded it to me, that she wants to touch base with Art on doing work in third world countries. So it's just expanding tremendously right now.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, we'll have to forward that email to Art and let him know about it. That's just so fabulously awesome. And how, to those who choose to live a human life tapped into love, another word in the ancient teachings for love is God, all things will bring gifts. Everything. The most seemingly tragic event will bring a gift. And so we are here to support everyone on the planet receiving that gift and really, truly integrating and living a human life. That's what we're here to do. Our call-in number, you'd be next on the call if you have a call or a question or a thought for us, is 646-200-4169. If you've made that call and you have a question or thought, hit 1. And what that does is it puts a little red hand up in the control panel. Jeanie knows that you want to speak, and she'll hit a button to put you in queue. So Jeanie's controlling this whole process for us, and we thank her for all the awesome and amazing technical skills that she has and supports us with in doing her purpose. So Jeanie has a caller, so go ahead, Jeanie.
We actually have two callers. The first one is area code 541.
Hello,
Hi,
541.
Jeanie and Michael.
Well,
it's
hey there,
Carolyn
young lady.
calling.
Say again?
Well, I have not been able to get on the phone, and I have not been able to do a worksheet like I promised to do one every day. I've been sort of in overwhelm. My computer crashed, and, well, I won't give excuses. I just haven't been able to. And boy, do I feel it. So I'm committing to you both today to start again.
So my highest thought is, if your computer's crashed, you can't download them. I know you've done some others. And so what I would offer, and it's kind of interesting because this is what Jeannie's son chose to do. Instead of printing off the worksheets, what he's done is just printed one. He's got a notebook, and he's writing the whole worksheet out by hand as he's doing it. So you don't have to have printed forms in order to write the worksheet. You might just go ahead and get yourself a notebook and make that your journal, your worksheet journal, and start writing them out longhand. It will certainly integrate
It's not that I have worksheets here because I copied them. I just haven't had time. Well, I guess it's really I haven't made the time.
So you've used. So what I hear is, and it's a very common drug, so thank you for bringing it up. What I hear is busyness is the drug I use to avoid looking and doing my work.
Correct.
Yeah. So I support you in opening, breathing, taking a big breath, and forgiving that idea and letting go of the busyness and carrying on with the safety. I mean, you've seen the benefit that you've had with the calls that you've had. You've seen the benefit of doing it, and that you just keep going for that benefit. Because, and here's what happens. When you clean out a layer and you get the intuitive hit as to the next layer that's going to come up, and the reason why we've hidden each of those layers is, one, because when the original event happened, we didn't have the knowledge, the strength of the tools to handle it. And two, most times, even though now it's ridiculous to think of it that way, if it's an event, let's say, that happened to a 3-year-old with their power person, it's in the mind of the 3-year-old, it was survival. This is life or death. And so when you're getting ready to peel up the next layer and do the next piece of work, just be aware that the mind at which that event happened may be feeding you information that this could mean your death, that it's a life and death situation. And that's because the child's mind didn't know how to interpret what was going on. And, all the stuff that happened with your power person, it was survival. I mean, this is the person I rely on for sustenance, for food, for care. And if they get mad at me, it could mean that I won't live. And so it's kind of natural that when I get the sense that, oh, boy, that's the next letter that's coming up, I better go get busy. I forgot I have to write a letter to my great-grandmother. I was supposed to do it 5 years ago. I've got to do it right now instead of this worksheet. And just, recognize that dynamic, and as you peel those layers out, they just kind of dissipate and disappear.
Well, I want to also tell you, Michael, that thank you for the reminder that, I'm just getting used to your terms, that everything that I hold in, as you call it, my carbon-based memory, is from all my ancestors, too.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a saying in the Native American circles, and actually I didn't put the Native American in, but I did put it in the new worksheet. There's a saying there that is Mitaquiasan. And Mitaquiasan means for all my relations. The Native Americans understood. So when the Native Americans go into a sweat lodge, they're not just doing it for themselves. When they enter the sweat lodge, their statement is, and it's said reverently, Mitaquiasan, I'm offering this to the ancestors. If you look in the Orient, people, if you go into a Thai restaurant, you'll oftentimes see a picture of maybe the king of Thailand and his wife, or a parent or a grandparent, and you'll see a food offering, and they're offering that to support and to nurture the ancestors. And the awesome thing about doing your work in our Western philosophies and traditions and theologies, they talk about praying for the dearly departed. Well, prayer in Aramaic means to set a trap for God, to be the space in which the active presence of love shows up. So when I pray for the dearly departed, I am being the space of love to clean up and clear out from my field all the things that have happened in all my generations. And so the Native Americans knew it, the ancient scripture teachers knew it, as did they know in the ancient East. So here we are for all of our relations doing this cleanup work and this healing work and ushering us into a new state and a new stage in our eternal lives. And so we're down to the last few seconds of the show, so I'm going to clean it out. I'm going to hold the space for everybody here to have the most awesome holy days this next month that you could possibly have. And if there are any more thoughts for us to share, I would be absolutely delighted if you can be the first caller tomorrow. We'll chat again. And we hope that everybody's going to have the best year yet of your eternal life. Blessings and bye-bye. Bring a stranger to the show tomorrow, by the way.
Thank you for listening to MindShifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie, who present that internal Aramaic process of forgiveness. Michael and Jeanie are here every Monday through Friday on Earth Angels Radio. For more on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. That's www.whyagain.com.